Good afternoon, and today we are with the president of the Center for the Study of Medicine and the Body in the Renaissance. So, Professor, can you please explain us what is the center and why are its goals so important?
Well, the center was set up to study aspects of the history of medicine, aspects of the body in the Renaissance, which we can say stretches from 1400 to 1750. It's a very important period because this is one where, if you like, humanity discovers itself, in a famous phrase of Burckhardt. But it is also important, and this is I see the function of the centre as a way of bringing together young students, because it's not a period that is very fashionable. And if you are working on these things in one university, you may be the only person. But once you get young people together, and I say this is one of the things that really is important about this, you get them to work off each other. They begin to get new ideas, and if you get enthusiasm and new ideas, that will feed down to the universities and also into a wider community. Television, radio, writing, as well as famous figures in Italy like Galileo and so on. But there's much more to it than just the 7 or 8 famous names that every Italian knows.
So you mentioned medical humanism. Why is it important today?
I think one of the needs for today's doctors is to be able to teach, or to be able to talk about medicine and to talk about patients without going beyond straightforward biomedicine. That medical practice deals with living human beings. And human beings are very different one from another. And one of the things I think doctors need to know today is how to relate, if you like, modern biomedicine, which sees everything in a very mechanical, very general way, with what is actually the patient in front of them. Now, this is a part, how you do it, lots of people have different explanations. One of the ways of doing it is to use history and the past to make them think about some of the problems of the present. And I think that it also has a balance, because many of the people who are here are not medics, they're patients, potentially. So there's a sense in which you can create a bridge between doctors and patients simply because of a shared history of the shared interest in the history of the problems that both of them are facing together. So that's my belief.
How can research on the history of medicine and science be relevant to our present time?
The question of relevance is a wonderful one. Many years ago, I was on radio, and a gentleman from Scotland announced that the Hippocratic Oath was directly relevant to the National Health Service in the United Kingdom, because Hippocrates knew everything to know about medicine. I had to remind him Hippocrates was a Greek 2.5 millennia ago, and this was not Scotland. Now, history, in a sense, binds us together. Relevance is a very flexible term. Many of today's problems remain the same. How do we face illness? How do we define what is an illness? How should a doctor approach the actual business of diagnosis? Now, that's not something that you can just do automatically. It's relevant to see how people have done it. And I think in things like public health, there are many of the problems today which are recurring that we once thought had disappeared. And to take a wonderfully modern example, the Black Death. Everybody knows about the Black Death in medieval Europe. We now know from the medical point of view a good deal about what causes the Black Death, about the Yersinia pestis and its RNA and so on, which feeds into what historians are doing. But interestingly, how people thought about the Black Death in the 15th century, 14th, 15th century is now remarkably similar to how medics today are beginning to understand the workings of the Yersinia pestis. We're back. We don't know how it works. We now know there are so many different causes of it that one can't say, this is the cause, you eliminate it. And it's funny that in the last 10 years, the bacteriologists and the historians have come together from a whole range of different specialties. Or take genetic medicine. What is the future of genetic medicine? If you think of genetic medicine, you say, I'm trying to organize a medicine that is something for you. Not for him, not for me, but it's for you. Now, many of the doctors in the past wrestled with that question of how do I decide on a therapy, a treatment for you, not for me. In a sense, the problem has now come back for people to view it in a historical context as something that is relevant. Now, some people say it isn't relevant because modern medicine has all the answers. Some of us will say it may be relevant and you can make it relevant. One of the things I love about coming back to Italy is precisely the linkage between past and present, for good and ill. But I think it's important, it provides a bridge between those who don't know exactly the modern scientific biomedical way of thinking, but who are there around them. And it may help to communicate with doctors, and it will help doctors to communicate with patients. But it's a question of what might be described as entrepreneurship. We've got to be prophets. We've got to go out and sell things. We've got to say to people, this is important. Why don't you have a look at it?
So to explain it.
Explain.
Yes. What are your impressions about this summer school? Did you like it? Are you liking it because it is still continuing?
I think what struck me is how over the period we've been here, the students are getting involved with everything. They're asking questions. Some ask questions more than others, but so far every single person has asked a question. They're also, and you can even hear them talking, they're talking with each other, which is also good because they go from different places. And they're also, it seems to me, not afraid of the big professors and the big names. They will come and talk to us. And that again is important. And we can in turn pass on knowledge of things that they will not know, may not know. But the other one is, in their projects, they're going to teach us something that they know and we don't. So this is an opportunity for an interchange of ideas between the generations and in an international context.
So this is an opportunity even for the elder generation of researchers.
If you stop thinking, if you say, I've done enough research, you're an idiot.